We're joined by Representative Barbara Hernandez. She's a Democratic member of the Illinois House of Representatives from the 50th District. That's located in the Chicago metropolitan area. And it's a unique privilege to have you here with us. We'll get to hear her views on the ongoing election, your position on immigration, support for business, ideas about the economy, and your work in your own district. So let's jump right in to the elephant in the room. The 2024 elections are here. They're big, they're consequential. What's your prediction and what's your message to the young voters?
Well, I think we know that it's a very critical time. It is exactly 7 days from the election today. We are running out of time. We are doing a lot of calling, a lot of polling. I know if I do have an election, I do have an opponent this time around in the general, but I'm more focused on the presidential election. I think it's been very crucial. We've known what we happened and back in 2016, and we know how that ended. But just this time around, I feel like there's a lot more hate. There's a lot more racism involved. It's just very sad to hear and sad to see. Very frustrating in many ways. So I'm hoping that I know it's going to be a very close election for the federal government. So I'm hoping that we can pull through, that we can have someone that will be more emotional, empathetic, more strategic than someone that we don't know if he's going to have a good day or a bad day and how he's going to react.
Right.
So I'd rather have someone that I know we've seen in the last 4 years and how they work and what they want to do versus someone that is unpredictable.
Thank you, ma'am. You mentioned hate, you mentioned racism, you mentioned unpredictability. But polling recently suggests that I'm speaking specifically for a demographic of Latino men. Polling suggests that there's an increasing number of Latino men that are supporting Trump this time around as compared to previous occasions. At the moment, Trump and Harris, have an equal support of 47%, but Trump has increased his support in previous elections. So, despite your suggestions, we see an increase in support. Do you have a rationale, a theory, a logic for this? How do you see this?
I think a lot of people are not only familiar with what happened. I think people sometimes forget what happened in the last few years. But also, if we go back to culture, the Latino men are known to be very machista, very misogynistic. They have a different form of culture, I guess, in a way, and I think that's what they kind of reflect on Trump. This is a strong man who is saying what he wants to say, not apologetic at all, and that's how many Latinos that I've met. They're very strong-headed, and I think that's part of it. I think culture plays a part of this. Of course, the Latina women are more empathetic, but of course, there's some that might follow what their spouse says. So I think culture plays a part of it, but at the same time, I think overall it's just people are not remembering what would happen, and some people are looking at it as an economic viewpoint. And I understand. I know economy is very important to us, important to me. However, I think we can't ignore everything else that has been said on our people, on minorities, and just because we're focusing on economy. So that's another thing.
So, do I take it that this is a concession you just made that perhaps Trump is better on the economy? Is that what you're hinting at here?
From what I've heard people say, they support Trump simply because, according to them, it was a better economy back then. And I understand where they're coming from, but at the same time, if we realize it's always like that with presidents. President works for 4 years. Either it could be worse or it could be best. We saw it with George Bush, the child, or not the child, but not the junior, I guess. He did a really bad economy. Obama came, fixed it for 4 years, left it a little bit better, Trump came in, and then, well, more than 4 years, I guess, for Obama, but came in, and then he had a better economy to work with. And then from there, he kind of did his mess. It kind of dwindled down, and we are now to this point, which has been getting better, but of course, it's not where it used to be. So I think 4 more years would be able to help. But we know that if we do go with someone else that kind of pretty much started dwindling down our economy, we would not be in the greatest place. The people that would get the most benefit would people that are wealthier.
Now, this is a great segue into the economy. Do you have any policy suggestions, any ideas about how to make the economy work for everyone in your district and at large for the country? What would be your
Well,
proposal?
at the moment, at the moment, I have a bill that would be increasing solar panel and making a policy for solar panel storage. In Illinois, we don't have a policy for storage at the moment, and that would create 145,000 jobs in Illinois. It will create different careers, new opportunities for individuals, a new um, career itself. Across the nation, there is solar storage. Some states have already adopted this policy. However, in Illinois, we have not. It would be a lot more energy efficient. We will get closer to our 2030 goals for energy. So that's something that I've been proposing for. I know it's going to uh, be able to help the economy a little bit in our state. Of course, it's not going to fix everything, but it would be a step towards the right direction. But I know overall the nation is starting to focus more on energy, starting to focus more on AI, technology. So of course, those are some things that we want to focus on. I know in the past few years, the state has received a lot of data storage, individuals coming in and making those data storage, and then that's bringing a lot of revenue, that's bringing a lot of jobs to our community. But of course, because of data storage, they're taking a lot of energy, a lot of electricity. So that's where my bill comes in and tries to help that. There's a lot of demand, but there's not going to be a lot of supply.
Now, if clean energy, specifically solar, is a focus, perhaps I could encourage you to look into the ISA, International Solar Alliance. I'm not very familiar if the US is part of it, but that might be of some interest to you. The International Solar Alliance is an
Okay.
alliance of a number of countries close to the equator that are working on solar
Mhm.
collectively. So that might be something you might find interesting.
Okay, great. I'm going to look into that. Thank you.
Thank you. It's also interesting you mentioned AI and technology in relation to energy because AI and other new technological developments, Bitcoin mining and others, are very energy intensive, very water intensive. So uh, that's definitely something that would require greater clean energy sources because the non-renewable ones are just unsustainable if you want to increase it at that scale, technology at that scale. So, looking forward to your bill.
Thank you.
Based on my research, your parents came to the US as immigrants. Please correct me if I'm wrong at any of these stages.
Oh, yes. No, correct.
You won,
My family.
yes,
Yes, sorry, go ahead.
you won your seat twice at the House, and since 2023, you've also been elevated to the position of assistant majority leader. So, could you tell us a little bit about your background and how that informs your views on immigration and immigration reform?
Of course, yeah. So you're completely right. My family are first generation immigrants to this country, and my mom actually arrived to the United States with my dad when my mom was 6 months pregnant with me. So it was very they came on a Memorial Day, actually. It was a Memorial Day. And so we celebrate Memorial Day a little bit different from other individuals. I know it's a big national holiday, but for us, it's also a very um, happy moment to celebrate that we are here one more year in this country. My parents were undocumented for those 21 years. And until I turned 21, I was able to petition for them to become residents. And then from there, my dad waited enough time to become a citizen. But it took 21 years. Our immigration system is broken. That's something I noticed as a child. And that's what kind of motivated me to volunteer, to be active in my community, because at that moment, I was just seeing that one issue that was affecting my family. I saw my parents be affected by it. They couldn't get health care. They couldn't get a real job or get any benefits from the federal government. They were paying taxes, but they couldn't collect anything. So I was really disappointed to see, and I knew as a child I was always nervous that my parents would get deported. So that was the reason why I got involved in politics. Slowly, I started to notice that there was a lot more families out there that were undocumented. That also there was more issues out there than just immigration. Um, but that was the reason why I got motivated and became a elected official. I didn't know I wanted to be an elected official. I just knew that I wanted to help people as much as possible and change the rules, change the laws that people made, because I felt like they weren't really specific to the minority community, for the first generation community. So when I ran when I was 20 for a township trustee position, I lost by 10 votes. And then I decided to wait until I was done with college. And then I ran again when I was 23 in 2016. And then from there, I won my King County board race, and I learned more about property taxes. I learned more about the county management, and I got appointed in 2019 as a state representative. And I've been here ever since. During that time frame, I've been able to do a lot of laws that help families in either healthcare, immigration, education. So I've tried to go to different categories because I love learning, and I love being able to do um, a little bit of everything. I don't have a specific area that I focus on. I just like to explore and get to know a little bit of everything. So that's where I am now. But it is I'm very happy where I am now. I know my family is very proud of me. Um, and I know that as a child of parents that immigrated and left everything behind, I know that at least I've been able to do my part and make sure that their sacrifice of not being able to see their family ever for 21 years, and to not be able to see their parents die. Um, it's very hard for them, but I know that I did my part and their sacrifice was not left in vain. So I show them every day that I'm doing my part, and trying to make sure that they're proud of me.
This is really moving, especially the last part. Uh, and this must definitely give you very unique insights into the whole immigration process. Immigration, like you're aware, is a very hot topic for this election, for the previous election, even the one before that, 2016, 2020, 2024. So let's say you had a magic wand, you could wave it around and you could solve any problem. Uh, what is the number one problem when it comes to immigration, especially on the southern border? That the number one change you would make to correct the issues at the border?
I would say get it. That's a hard one, but I would say probably making sure that the federal government system would work, create a bill that would help process all of this. There's a lot of people that are trying to legally come to the United States. However, their case has been not reviewed in so many years that there's a backlog on everything. There's people who have applied since they were 10, and now they're about to be 21, and they have to restart the process all over again. So I believe I want to fix that system. I want to make sure that we can review the cases, have people come in and review the refugee asylum cases quicker, so we can give people that ability to know where they stand. Because many people, once again, they're waiting
Yeah.
10 plus years just to get a response if they can stay here or not. So I would say fix that. Um, because that would fix the terminology. People say that they should come here legally. Um, and many people try, but because of our system, our federal system, that is backlogged, it's not really working. So people have to come in different ways.
Are you in favor of bringing in all asylum seekers and refugees? Or would you be in favor of vetting them for different parameters? In terms of their background and the work they've been involved in before they came.
So I'm a big believer of second chances. I support many individuals and bills, and I even have a bill for individuals that are incarcerated.
Right.
So I want to say that I would welcome every refugee, every asylum seeker. Of course, I do want to make sure that the person that is coming in won't create more um, public safety issues in our community. So I would want them to be vetted. But if they have a record, but they have left that behind and they are like a different person now, then of course I want to make sure that we allow them to come in. But of course, like I said, I want to make sure that we go through the background, make sure that they have been left that past behind and ready to move on to a different path.
Definitely. Moving on to the next question. What is some work that you've done or supported to help businesses in your district, small businesses and large corporations, both of them?
Yeah, so a few things have been I've been able to support grants during COVID time. It was very hard for small businesses. I know the governor was able to have this idea of small business grants, and it was called the Back to Business grants in Illinois. So I was able to support those. I was able to vote for them to make sure we allow them to go on, and that's something that I wanted to push as much as possible to my community, making sure that they were aware that this was available, that they should apply, and making sure that that people in the selection committee, that was a diverse group of people in the state, that not only one person received it in Aurora and 50 people received it in Chicago. I wanted to make sure it was fair for everyone, and I was very happy to see that many businesses in Aurora did get them. In my area, North Aurora and Batavia. I didn't have Batavia back then, but I know I kept an eye on all the local ones. So it was great to see. Today, I'm trying to make sure that we get more money for small businesses, that we don't make it harder for them, that we make it easier. We make a lot of bills that try to regulate the bigger corporations, but of course, the smaller businesses might be impacted. So we try to do an exception for them or give them a bit more time to get ready for that, that change, um, such as like the increase of salaries. So I know next year is going to be $15 an hour, but we made sure that we would just increment it instead of just saying, starting tomorrow, you will be at $15 instead of, and from it, that's a big jump, right? So we made sure it was an increment amount instead of just a one big portion, to give them some time. But also, overall, I'm still like listening to a lot of the small businesses to see what they have. I know in Chicago there's a lot of crime, public safety that they're concerned on. Here in the suburbs, it's mostly just making sure that their business is supported, that there is grants available for them, that they have enough money for their business, so they don't increase the amount of food or the products that they sell. But it's also visibility. They want more opportunity to be known, that the city should showcase them instead of just keeping them hidden or only showcasing the ones that they have their favorites. So it's something that I know it's a smaller scale here in municipality, but it's something that I know it's impacting a lot of our small businesses and people, and just making sure that there's more incubators out there to teach them how to fill out these forms, how to teach them how to get to that next step. Many people start like in the farmers markets that I've seen and don't know how to buy a building, what steps to take, what is necessary from the state of Illinois or the federal government. So showing them that is very important. So that's something I've been very focused on, and like as a to increase the incubating space for small business owners that want to have an actual brick and mortar place.
And, what are some of the businesses or some of the output, main outputs of produce or businesses in your district, in your area, in your community that perhaps you might want to highlight?
We have a lot of great businesses. We have businesses that are, of course, restaurants. So we have Italian, we have Asian fusion. We are getting another Italian. We're getting tapas. We have a American burger place, but there's other businesses that also focus on cultural backgrounds. We have Ni de Jardín, who is very great with showcasing the Latino community, and has a little coffee shop in their store. So it's the modern day local Starbucks situation, like a Target Starbucks inside. We
Right.
have the plant store and cultural, and then inside is the coffee shop, Dapper Brews, which is really great to see. But we also have a lot of wellness. People are trying to participate more on mental health. So we have a yoga studio that is trying to do more with that and help people and introduce them to a new thing. We're gonna get an incubator space. We have a lot of theater in our downtown area, and we in Batavia. I know they're increasing the amount of people that go on the river street, that they can come in and walk around, have trivia, have more locations for just dining. But also in North Aurora. Although there's not a visible downtown in North Aurora, there's still a lot of more businesses out there that are growing, a lot of new restaurants coming up, which is great to see. It's there's just a lot of beautiful places, and I love supporting local. I love just shopping as much as possible in local. I try to do that as much as I can, especially because I do live in an area that I can walk to all these little stores and shops. So I wish that downtown Aurora had a grocery store. It would be easier for me. But there's so many great just community out there and businesses that are owned by families that live in my community, and I love to support them in any way.
Your last response really brought out your affection for the community. It was very heartening to see how you laid out your response, and I'd like to thank you for that. Moving on to the next question. The conflict in the Middle East is only escalating, and there's increased risks of a wider war going forward. So, how do you see America's role in the Middle East? How do you see America contributing going forward? And where do you see this conflict going? Especially given the context that the US has come full on the side of Israel on this issue. And so, where do you see this going?
No, I mean it's been very difficult to see. It's been very sad to see. I don't know the whole history because I it seems like there's like decades, centuries of old history between both. So I don't know where it actually stemmed from. I don't know if we will ever really find out the truth. I know there's if you depending on who you ask, there's different stories, but like I love to know where it exactly happened, like what exactly happened. But I mean, it's too late for that. We're here in this point, and it's just very sad to see. I personally don't want to see any side um, lose more people. I think I've seen videos, I've seen the stories. Both sides are very sad. Um, I just like to see that the governments are fighting, and unfortunately, the people, their community, are suffering. And so that's where I just don't like that. Um, but I think the federal government could do more. The federal government could explain a little bit more. I want to give the benefit of the doubt towards the government, unfortunately, because I- I've learned as a elected official, there's always different sides, and I might not be able to say certain things on like a specific side, because in reality, like that might make enemies for this side, and that those enemies are larger, are bigger, and can come after us, right? And so I can only imagine the federal government how they're responding to this, because I'm sure it's hard. I'm sure they're hard. It's hard that if they pick one side up over the other, there's going to be a lot more complicated relationships in the federal government, international relations than the other if they pick the other side. Um, so I can't imagine that, but unfortunately, I feel like they could still do more. They could still help people. They could still keep Israel accountable for their actions, because I think at this point it's no longer fighting to defend themselves. I think it's just fighting till they win, and that's very upsetting to see because it sounds like a um, like a someone that is just very is arrogant, is stubborn, is just trying to um, make themselves feel like they're gonna win, and it's not ending, and it's not gonna end. It's not gonna help anyone. It's just gonna make it difficult. And at this point, I think the federal government in our country just is waiting to see what's gonna happen, and we shouldn't. We should be able to call them out, keep them accountable, and both sides, I would say. But mostly right now, um, Israel is not cooperating, is not doing stopping. And at this point, I mean, I know they probably think I mean, they see the numbers, right? They know that they have the amount of people that they can win. So why get to this point? Why get to this point that you're trying to diminish a group of people that have been oppressed for so long? So that's I wish, like I said, I wish we could do more. I don't know exactly to what level, but that's it's been upsetting to see. It's been very sad to see all the stories and the videos that I've witnessed.
All right. Moving on to the next question. From geopolitics back to policy making. What is the number one issue or the number one concern in your own district that is something you're really passionate about, that is something you're working on at the moment? And how are you aiming to solve and tackle it? Focused on.
So in the past, I've done a lot of different, like I said, healthcare, education. All the bills that I do are pretty much due to personal experiences or other people's experiences. One of the bills that I've been working on very hard is it's not a personal experience for me, but I know there's a lot of people that are impacted, and it's HB 5219. That is a bill that would reform truth in sentencing in Illinois. So all the individuals that are currently incarcerated would get a smaller amount of sentence, especially those that have been there since they were 18. Those are the group of individuals that I've been focusing on. We've done a lot of bills in Illinois that would help people, just get them out of the jail in a compassionate way, or create some avenues for them to not get longer sentences for something. I think we started to learn that that's not helping people, and unfortunately, every bill that we kind of create would not cover, um, it was not retroactive. So it wasn't helping the people that were there before. It would help people in the future, whoever comes into the correctional center. However, people that were there just, they couldn't leave, they couldn't do anything. They would not benefit. So I'm trying to do a bill that would be retroactive for them. That would allow us to not only save a lot of money in Illinois, and as a taxpayer, it would save us a lot of money. Um, it would save a lot of money in the IDOC system, in the Illinois Department of Correction system. It would also create a path for people to have jobs, to come back and become a civilians and contribute to our economy. Right now, we pay close to $36,000 um, for one individual to be incarcerated. We cover their healthcare, food, pretty much everything, and it's like I said, it's not helping people. Some people have been working on their on their future while they're incarcerated. They've gone to school, they've gone to get graduated from college, started nonprofits. They've gone to a lot of classes, certifications, and so on. And so they're a different person. They realize they made a mistake when they were 18, and they are now in their 40s or 50s in some cases, and they want to just contribute back. But because of the loss that we made, they have not been able to get a fair trial, get a fair opportunity to show people that they have changed. So that's one of the bills that I've been working on. It's one of the bigger ones. I know a lot of celebrities have been contacting me saying that they're interested in the bill, like Chance the Rapper, Big Mensa, from all from Chicago. But it's great to see that support. But it's something that I've been working on for the last few months. Hoping to get it called in January. I'm hoping that we can get a solution because it, like I said, it would impact, help a lot of people, a lot of families, but also the state and our pockets. So, and I know people want to save in many ways.
All right, if I could dig slightly deeper into this one. First, what is the number of incarcerated people that this will impact? Second, how much money do you think will actually be saved through this bill? And third, is your focus only on violent offenders or does it also include the non violent ones?
So at the moment, it's for everyone. The bill will impact everyone. Of course, we're thinking of amending it depending on how we get to it. Because even what I've learned and during this research is that even as a violent offense, like once you're labeled a violent offense, that can mean everything. That can mean a little bit of everything, even though it's not might not be a violent offense. You might have been the guy who was driving the car and your friend committed the actual violent offense. But because you were with him, a theory of accountability, you will also be labeled as a violent offense. So it's it, it's not the same. You didn't commit the crime, but this person did, and but now you're lumped into the same category. So I think that's something that we need to fix. We need to figure out like which ones are actually violent offenses and which ones are not. Um, but for now, we have a spread topic of just everyone is included under this. So that's what we're working on. The funding, I can send you the article, the funding itself, and I think in the next 5 years, um, it would release close to 5,000 people, but also the revenue, it would be a couple $1 million. If I'm not mistaken, it would be like $9 million, $9.2 million that would be saved in the next 5 years, um, which is a lot. And in the same case, maybe we could fix certain correctional system. Um, the our correctional systems are terrible, are not the greatest. Many of the facilities are very old and are falling apart. That's why Statesville and Logan, Statesville was closed permanently for now because of the infrastructure and how bad it was. But Logan, the Women Correctional Center, um, that is going to be renovated, at least one part, one of the buildings, because I did go to Logan and I did see that one of the buildings, the whole roof was coming down. And like I said, like if we expect people to be in those conditions, I think we should make it healthier for them. Um, I know people would possibly disagree because of they think criminal and they think like they deserve it, and at the same time I feel like no one deserves that. No one deserves to be in a place that is falling apart, that is dangerous to them, dangerous for their health, dangerous for the staff that have to work with them. They are all humans. Even though they made a mistake, they're currently going through the consequence. However, they shouldn't be there for the rest of their life just because they of that consequence that once again they created possibly when they were before 25.
Right.
So it's something that, as we learn, brain development is takes longer for certain genders. So why punish them while they still don't know what right is and what wrong is, and we don't know their background. Sometimes their background is a lot more complicated than others. Some people are in a good household and with loving parents and they make that mistake, but others are not and they don't know any better. They just know a life in the streets. So why punishing them for something that society and um, government in a way has done?
In previous parts of the conversation, you mentioned that you worked on bills related to both education and health. So, given the recent rise in interest in artificial intelligence, I had an observation and I was wondering what you thought about it. So, when it comes to AI and education, there are two dimensions to it. The first is the application of AI for teaching and for education in schools, and the second is the relevant skills that will be useful in the workplace following the completion of education, because artificial intelligence is going to take up a lot of older jobs. So are both of these things things that you think about, and do these inform your decision making or judgment in the making of bills?
I know that one of my colleagues, Abid Nasser Rashid, he has a bill on AI. He has a big AI package. So I'm very curious to see what he's going to suggest. But when it comes to schools and education and I feel like a lot of schools are kind of scared of it, and they shouldn't be. I think they should be able to focus on AI and integrate that with learning. I'm very happy that my local college, my Aurora University, I recently met with them 2 weeks ago with the president, and she was showcasing how they have integrated AI into their schools, how they're using it for careers, for um, like mock interviews, how they're using it to create a bit of a base in their classes.
Yeah.
They're, of course, still nervous about um, making sure that people are not copying or not doing all the essays by AI, but they want to make sure that individuals that are graduating from Aurora University know how to use AI, know what they're capable of, so they can have that skill in a job. And I think that's great. I wish that more people would do that. I know that for me, I'm learning as I go. I've seen a lot of AI stuff, and sometimes now I'm kind of wondering, is this real or is this fake? Because it's so great to see the technology. I've always been interested in technology, but it's I hope it grows, and I hope that we can make sure that it's safe for everyone. Because I do worry about the potential um, like bad things that could happen with AI. And I want to make sure that we stop from those items, whatever they are, before it happens, to make sure that people are safe and everything is good. But I do think that we should just educate everybody in AI, and we should include that in our careers or in our schools, to prepare people. This is not going to go away. It's just going to be more. It's going to increase. So why not embrace it and make sure that we know how to use it?
I think, like any other technology, AI is going to make the good things better and the bad things worse. It's going to put everything on steroids. So, with that said, we'll move on to the final part of the interview. Is there any fun or interesting anecdote or experience during your time as a representative that you would like to share with the audience? Anything that you look back on fondly, or any fun, exciting experience that you might have had? Anything that brings a smile to your face that you might want to share with the audience?
Yeah, so I guess it's going to be a broad one. I really enjoy seeing kids, um, because their face when they see me lights up, especially when they know who I am or what I do. They've seen me on either the TV or on the news or on Instagram, and they just think I'm this great person, this like celebrity to them. And for me, I see a different side. Like I don't think about me as elected official on a daily basis, I just think about myself as like I'm doing a job. I'm doing a job. I want to help my community as much as possible. That's how I see myself. So it's sometimes hard for me to remember that someone else might see me differently. But whenever I talk to kids and I see their eyes light up and they're very shiny, they're about to cry, they make me want to cry because I see that I made an impact on those children, either by talking to them or seeing them, or they've followed me. So I know that I'm being watched. I know there's a lot of kids out there that think of me as a role model, and I never really think about that on a daily basis. It just when it comes up to me when I see a kid, it's kind of like, oh, it hits me. It's like, oh, I'm that kid was very happy to see me. Like why? I don't understand, but they were really happy to see me, and that's honestly very beautiful for me. It keeps me motivated. It keeps me knowing that I'm doing a good job and to continue, and to also make sure that I'm still positive. They help me a lot in those situations because I'm hoping to motivate the next state representative, the next elected official in the area, to show them that it's a different there is a different path for elected official, that it's not what we see in the federal government, that it could be a minority, it could be young person, um, it could be a woman. So I want to show people that that is possible, and it's great to see that in the kids' faces.
You are one of the youngest representatives in the House, if not the youngest. Uh,
At
and
one point, yeah, at one point I was the youngest at 26. I am one of the youngest as now as a 32-year-old. Yeah.
so you're definitely a role model for the youth. Also, I have to ask, you're representatives from Chicago. Obama's from Chicago. Do you guys hang out on the weekends? Do you have coffee time to time? Does he call you up? How does
I wish. I wish. I'm still waiting for that moment to meet Obama. I think that would be a great opportunity. I met Michelle very briefly before I became a state representative in one of the rallies a few years ago. But I would love to meet Obama. I think that's one of the goals, to hopefully one day meet a president and actually be able to say that. But if Obama is great. I would love to try and play basketball with him. I'm not a big basketball person, but I just want to be able to say I did this with a president of the United States. Um, so if Obama's listening, I hope he would consider coming to Aurora. I know there's a lot of people that share stories about him, and it's great to see because a lot of my colleagues did serve with Obama when he was a senator. So it's just great to hear all the stories and how he used to be. But it's great. Hopefully one day.
we're gonna clip this part of the video, put it on YouTube, and tag Obama, and let's see
Yeah.
if we can make that happen. I'm gonna end with
Yeah.
this one last question. Any message for the first-time voters? Anything you'd like to tell them?
It's easier to do if especially if you're in King County, if or whatever county you are, just go to like your county elections office website. You can get a sample ballot so you can see exactly who is on your ballot, and you can do research ahead of time. You can print it out and kind of make sure you have a little copy for yourself and memorize it. Make sure you check your voting place. You can still register to vote at the polling place. So if you're not registered, it's not too late. You can still do it. November 5th is the main election, but you can vote now, even before that. So I hope people go out and vote. And please, like, you remember, you can also skip. If you don't like everyone that you see or you don't recognize certain names, just go there, vote for the people that you want to vote for, and leave everything else that you don't know blank. Honestly, like, I just want to make sure that people cast their vote. It doesn't matter who they vote for. Well, it does, but I hope people at least exercise their vote. That's what I want people to do. I want them to get used to voting. I was very happy when I turned 18 to vote, and I've been voting ever since. Um, it's part of my habit now. So I just hope people do that because it's very important to just exercise a vote, especially women. Women did not have an ability to vote before the 1920s, and not our ancestors, but some women were there fighting for this right. And as a woman, I want to make sure that they know that I voted um, for, and that their sacrifice and everything they went through did not go on like undone. That there's still people trying to keep that going. So I hope people remember the past and how far we have come and how many minorities could not vote and participate in the elections, and now we can. So why not participate and make sure that we do our job before, in case something gets taken from us. So we never know. So make sure like we fight for our freedom.
You're standing on the shoulders of giants and make use of it, basically.
Pretty much, yes.
Thank you so much, Barbara. It was an absolute joy talking to you and very informative. And I'm hoping our audience finds this equally interesting. And I hope it was fun for you too.
It was. Thank you so much for having me.